Hi everyone, good evening. Looks like it's 8:02. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes or a minute or so to hop on before we get started. It's Wednesday night here in beautiful Las Vegas. It's a little too dark to do this outside, so if you hear my adorable son in the background, just know he's super cute. and that makes babies not annoying, right? So anyway, welcome to night 2 of the live stream spectacular. This is being done and made to serve creatives who are ready to start building a career and a life based around their desires to do art or make music or whatever it is that their little hearts desire. Last night we talked about the ego and whether or not it's actually the enemy. I went over how the ego kind of gets a bad rap and it's actually there just to protect you. And the more that we try to suppress it or say that it's in opposition to our true spirit, the more that it's repressed and the more that our shadow side grows and grows and grows, and that shows up in some nasty ways. If you want, go to my page, go to events, look for night 1, and you can see the entire video there. There were some really good discussions there. For those of you who don't know, my name is Erin. I am a Master Certified NLP practitioner and coach. NLP is for it stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming, and that's simply the idea that we can actually reprogram ourselves with our language, reprogram ourselves on a neuro level, and we're going to be talking about that a lot tonight with mindset. I'm also a master timeline therapy practitioner, and I'm also a master hypnotist as well. So I've been working for about a year and a half, primarily with creative people, but I've also worked with entrepreneurs and realtors, which essentially they're all creative too, right? And my intention for these live streams are to give you really valuable information that might give you a shift in perception that empowers you on your journey and helping you get the results that you really want to get, but maybe you're not achieving them for one reason or another. So that's a little bit about me. If you're new to my world, welcome. I'm glad you're here. If we already know each other, I'm so grateful for you and this opportunity to continue our relationship together. So what I would suggest is everyone who's watching, just take a nice deep breath and ground into your situation wherever you're at. If you have a pen and a paper, you might want to grab that. If you came here with questions, make sure you have them handy. If you have questions during the live stream, please feel free to ask them to me at any time. I thought there was going to be like a Q&A session last night. No, we're not that structured. So in the meantime, I'm just going to riff on basically the mindset. And the mindset is really, really important because, as I was saying through a couple of other posts today, everything begins and ends with thoughts. And that means that since our thoughts are beginning and ending everything that we experience, it would prove to be really valuable to understand the power of our mindset, and then maybe even learn some ways to adjust and shift the mindset, knowing that it has a really direct impact on what we create for ourselves, right? So here's the idea. I say that there are 3 things that we can control. And those are our own thoughts, our own feelings, and our own actions. We can't control anybody else. We can't control their feelings, their decisions. We can't control even our own pets. It doesn't happen. So the more that we start focusing on the things that we can control, by the way, not politics, not world events, nothing like that. Like, a lot of people want to do watch the news because they feel in control. Someone that I love very much watches the news because she feels in control when she doesn't. She's not. Anyway, that's a whole other story. So we can only control our own thoughts, our own feelings, and our own actions. So if you are currently desiring to create a life that you haven't quite achieved yet, or there's something in your life that you're trying to build or just basically accomplish, then it would probably be very valuable to start having thoughts that you haven't had before, because the thoughts that you've had up until this point have gotten you the results that you have right now. So if you are working on another goal, if you're trying to take your career to another level, if you're trying to elevate your relationship to a different level, it means you get to have different thoughts and cultivating different thoughts. Now, that all happens in our mindset. So if it all starts with thoughts and it all has to do with our mindset, this is something that you get to know. And this blew my mind when I first learned this. But moods are actually a decision. I want you to think about that. Moods are a decision. They aren't just like coming down from on high, from the heavens above. No, we actually choose our moods. And this is how we do it. So moods are basically, they're based in and rooted into an emotion. By the way, for the people who are joining, I said at the beginning of the video, paging 1983, at the beginning of the live stream, that if you have any questions, I'm not going to do a formal Q&A session. Every once in a while, I'll pause and ask if you have any questions, but if something comes up, even if I haven't prompted it, just shoot them in the comments and I'll answer them as they go, okay? And welcome to the people who are showing up. Thank you for being here. So again, our moods actually aren't something that are out of our control. They're a decision. And this is how they're decided. We get a certain, a set of stimulus. So I can look at this table that my phone is resting on as I do this live stream, and I can attach a meaning to it, which we all do. We do it without even thinking about it. Think about all the objects in your house that you don't want to get rid of. They actually don't mean anything in an objective world. In your world, because it's subjective, you have attached meaning to it, which is probably why you've moved it from house to house, or maybe you've purged something, or someone that you really love gave it to you, so you're going to hold on to it forever and ever and ever, and it gives you a certain emotion, right? So I can look at this table and attach a meaning to it, and one of the meanings that I'm getting from it right now is, I remember when I first met my husband, this was the table in his house, and we ate chicken tinga. Ever have it? So good. I hadn't had it before, and I remember just sitting there, and there's a really good memory attached with this table. So my mood attached to this table is pretty sentimental, pretty loving, pretty affectionate. I really like this table. But that is something that could have been absolutely anything else. And we can choose to reprogram that if we need to. Now, why would we need to reprogram that, like a loving, kind mood toward anything in our lives? I would propose that we really don't need to do that unless it's for somehow interfering with a result that we want to produce in our lives. So all of this is to say, always get clear on your goals first, okay? Get clear on your goals first, because everything else that comes, it's for the sake of what? For the sake of what am I choosing to reprogram a certain mood or a certain meaning? For the sake of what am I sitting through a live stream to learn more about mindset? For the sake of what am I deciding to pursue a creative career? It might be to honor some of your values of integrity, authenticity, freedom, creativity, whatever it is, right? So anyway, going back to it, looking at our moods, right? So think about how you act when you're in a good mood. You probably make eye contact with people. You probably smile at people. You probably believe more positive things about your surroundings as you go through your day, right? So you might notice that on those days you experience more positive things being reflected back to you because you're literally projecting positivity into the world and it's coming back to you. I could do a whole other week on perception as projection, but I won't go down that rabbit hole right now, okay? So, okay, mindset. What does that have to do with it? If a positive mindset, if a positive mood is going to help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve, then you might see that it's worth it to create meanings that create positivity for you. So in terms of like negativity, I had a really, really beautiful example happen to me this afternoon. So I'm running this course and I get to set up the website and the payment portal and everything. I'm promoting it. It's open for enrollment, all of that good stuff. And I needed to work out a little bug with one of the payment options, and I got onto a chat support situation with the payment portal people. And what was happening was not necessarily what I experienced as supportive. And I started getting really frustrated. I noticed myself like chatting back really mean things, right? And this is not normally like me. So there's a couple of other things that we could go into there, but we'll talk about that later. So I was being rude. I was being really aggressive with the chat person because they weren't really giving me what I wanted, and I was in a mood of entitlement. Now, here's the funny thing. This was happening right before I was going across the street where I live, where there happens to be a study group on A Course in Miracles. So this is a group that I go to every Wednesday night. It's kind of my thing. It's like my ability, or a place where I kind of go to I don't know, kind of decompress, I suppose, and connect with some different people, and it's really cool and everything, but I was just in a really bad mood, right? Like, it was a really, really bad mood, but let's break this down. This bad mood was not, it wasn't the truth. That's all I have to say about it. This was not the truth. And if I want to experience my Wednesday night as kind of like my fun relaxation time while still contributing to my own growth and expanding my own perspectives, which is what this study group does for me, then the mood that I was deciding to have was not going to contribute to that. So let's break this down, right? I get on the chat. I find out that this payment portal, that this person is asking a bunch of qualified questions, and at the same time I'm like nursing my baby, so I'm chatting one-handed. There's all this, there's things going on. All right. So here I am. Listen to this is the story around it. And I'm telling you right now, this story means absolutely nothing. I'm only telling it to you because I want you to see where you might do this in your own life, where it might affect your results and your quality of life. Okay, so the story is I'm chatting one-handed. My course is like super important. I'm nursing a baby. Look at me. I'm so busy. I'm so important. Like, all of this stuff is like going through my head. He asked a bunch of qualifying questions. He didn't know enough about the website that I was integrating the payment portal into, blah, 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 blah. And then by the end of 45 minutes, he tells me that I'm not able to do the thing that I want to do. And that's where I got really pissed off, right? And so let's think about this. I want to have a really good Wednesday night, first of all, with my study group. Second of all, actually, scratch that. First of all, with my family. Second of all, with my study group. And third of all, to show up and really serve you guys, because my intention here is that you get really good information. If I decide to be in a bad mood, are any of those things going to happen? Maybe, but probably not. The likelihood of those things goes down like significantly because I'm choosing to have a certain mood. Now, the bad mood is attached to certain meanings, right? The meanings of this poor chat technician over at the payment portal that I'll go ahead and leave unnamed, I attach meaning to it that I wasn't being supported, that that I wasn't going to be able to do what I wanted to do, that it was going to affect the students in my course. And if it affected the students in my course, it was going to affect my reputation. If my reputation was affected, that it was going to go ahead and affect my whole career. All of that stuff were the meanings that I was choosing to attach to a chat transcript, right? Now, me telling this story to you guys, I hope you see how stupid that is. It's really, really, really dumb. And I went ahead and let myself be really upset about it for a second. But here's the thing about mindset and being really, really connected to your goals. Staying in this mood and choosing this meaning of this experience for the sake of what? For the sake of what? Is it going to support me in having loving interactions in my household tonight? Is it going to support me in being relaxed at my study group? Is it going to support me in showing up fully on my live stream? Is it going to support me in getting a really good night's rest so I can just like show up for life in a really powerful way? Absolutely not. And all three of those things are really huge objectives for me. So as I'm spiraling into the story of like this chat transcript basically devolves into me, you know, like my whole career unraveling or whatever, as if he has that power or that person has that power, we can look at that and say, what if there were a way to choose a different story that produced a different mood in me that could lead to actions that create a different result? Does anyone have any questions at this point? My dog's whining. I don't think she likes this. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, please just put them in the chat box and I'll be like really happy to answer them. So what does that mean? Choosing a different story, right? So, okay, what did I do? What did I do? I kind of like had a little pity party and got really mad at the chat agent for a second, and then I was able to catch myself. And I chose a different story that produced a mood of compassion. This is another thing that you can do. Step one is like write down your goals, write down like what you're working toward, right? Like be really connected with that. And then last night I did another, I invited you to do another exercise, and I'm going to invite you to do it again. Connect yourself to the values behind those goals, because the goal isn't so much the money amount. The goal isn't so much finding the spouse. The goal isn't so much having your first solo art show. What is the meaning and what are the values behind the meaning of those things? Because once you get really connected to that, like on a heart level, then you're going to be able to be so much more effective with being the master of your mindset. All of these other things you'll be able to shift so quickly, because your ego can dissociate from whatever it was tonight, like not feeling supported by the chat agent. You know, that's pure ego right there. And as I said last night, ego is here to support you. The ego wanted me to be supported and everything, but the ego is just not sophisticated in its operations, to put it in a certain way. Okay, so here's the story that I chose instead. And the story that I chose instead was, it doesn't matter, because it's all going to work out. I'm going to show up. I'm going to support people in the way that I know how to support people. And that guy is probably new at his job. And even if he's not new at his job, it doesn't matter. And also, again, what did I say at the beginning of this? We can control 3 things in this world. I cannot control whether or not this payment portal is able to support a certain function that I want it to support, because it would make my life easier. And I can't even fathom the level of coding that goes into creating this function that would make my life easier. By the way, it's a free service, the payment portal. Well, I mean, they take percentages, but it doesn't even matter. Okay, so I chose a different story that put me into a much more compassionate mood. And again, like getting back to those values behind your goals that we can always start with, you can identify the moods that are really, really important to get into to achieve what you want to achieve in the moment, in the long term, whatever it is. So there's compassion, there's kindness, there's love, there's service, all of that good stuff. Okay, so we're choosing different moods, we're choosing different meanings, and we're choosing those moods and meanings because we know that there are only three things that we can control. That's our own thoughts, our own feelings, and own actions. Hi Lauren, good to see you. Okay, so the mindset, you know that your mindset needs to be changed if you are consistently finding yourself falling short of what you desire to achieve, if you are consistently experiencing stress, anxiety, and any other kind of negative state there is, whatever it might be for you. It shows up in all kinds of different ways for all different kinds of people. And basically, any departure from peace is an indication that you get to adjust your mindset in one way or another. I just saw my son. He's adorable. Okay. So that's when you get to know that your mindset needs to be changed. If you really want to achieve the things that you want to achieve, right? So again, those thoughts from that example with the chat person, you can hear that all the thoughts were not true. And they eventually told a story with a conclusion that was just total crap, right? Like it's so absolutely ridiculous. Now think about those thoughts. And think about how it produces a certain mood. And again, I want you to think about how you act when you're sad, when you're, or versus when you're excited, versus when you're angry. All of those different moods or emotions are going to produce different actions. Are you going to act in a loving way when you're filled with, say, fear or rage? No, you're absolutely not going to. Are you going to act in a rageful way when you're in a mood of love or possibility or excitement? No, probably not. And think about how those moods are going to produce, like, just the way you act. So, and Tony Robbins would say, you can, if you're in a certain mood, okay, you can change your thoughts, but another effective way to change your thoughts is to actually change your physiology. So if you're feeling, say, sad or depressed, you can actually do like the Superman pose. That will, I forget what chemical it boosts. It doesn't matter, but it'll boost like your badass chemical, whichever one that is, right? And it'll get you out of that depressed state so you can change your physiology to change your mood. Are there any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay. Hi, Jerry. So that's basically the kind of like the bottom line of mindset, right? And here's something. So there's the why. Now here's the what. We get to choose to have different moods and everything, but there's other things that we can either incorporate or get out of our day-to-day lives that may or may not be affecting our mindsets. And you know, mass media and sometimes social media can be one of those things. I really, really believe, and oh my gosh, I didn't do this caveat at the beginning of this live stream, so I'm going to do this caveat now. I'm talking about a lot of things that I believe to be true, and I don't, if they don't feel good to you, if they don't work for you, that's okay. Just reject them, right? I'm not sitting here spouting this is the truth that you have to adopt it. None of it. If it feels good to you, go ahead and accept it. All right. So here we go. With the media, with the news, this is my belief from years and years of looking at this, and also going like through major depression, coming out of depression, and really protecting what is like what content and what actually informs my mindset at this point. The news, no matter what side you're on, is really good at triggering fear, right? Think about everything that's happening. And not many people watch news in real time or anything, but back in the day, it used to be you watched a news segment, it would trigger fear, and then boom, commercial break. Go consume, go consume, go consume. You're fearful, you're incomplete, here's some shit to fill that hole, right? So, and now, like, I guess it's a little bit different. There's fear, and then a little ad pops up on your phone while you're scrolling through whatever it is. They are not necessarily, and I'm not saying this is for all media outlets, but for the vast majority of them, they are no longer in the business of informing or bringing to justice or being an advocate. They are in the business of clicks, right? So in order to get those clicks, they know that people need to act from emotion, right? They see something that causes fear. There's something in their little reptile brain that, well, all our reptile brains, I have a little reptile brain too. I'm not trying to be condescending. So anyway, there's stuff that like triggers there, and then we click on it because if we have more information, maybe we'll be in more control. But again, people, there are 3 things we can control: our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own actions. We cannot control world events. We cannot control politics. We cannot control what our neighbors are doing next door to us. That's just not something that we can control whatsoever. So the story of control by consuming media, I have to call bullshit on it. I just really do. So that's one of the practices that I've incorporated into my life to really, really protect my mindset, because it is a practice. Choosing your moods is a practice. It's a decision that you have to make every day. And not have to make, you're already making it. You already made the decisions of what moods, what attitudes you were going to have all day long. You're going to do it tonight, and you're going to continue to do it tomorrow, over and over and over again. Don't you think it would be more effective to choose it consciously rather than unconsciously, like I was doing for so many years, and then wondering like, why weren't things working for me, right? It wasn't until I started making conscious decisions tied to a goal that were rooted in values that felt really good to me that things started, like where the world started looking really freaking beautiful and amazing and all like basically magical. Hold on, Lauren, let me expand this real quick. Hold on. Okay, so that's the news is one of the ways that I protect basically my own mindset. Hold on. So Lauren, let me see. Man, I try to, every time I click see more on your comment, it just gives me the little moods things. Speaking of moods, isn't that funny? Okay, so when you get triggered by the way someone communicates to you and feel anger because of it, what do you do? Okay, if there's more to that question than what I read, please like add it again in the comments for me, pretty please, Lauren. So Lauren is asking, when you get triggered by the way someone communicates to you and feel anger because of it, what do you do? Okay, again, so what is the meaning that you're attaching to the way that they're communicating to you? Because the meaning that you're attaching to it is not the truth, right? So I remember I mean, there were a couple of times where I've said, this is all the time, and here's my story around it. I'm a Sagittarius. I have really good intentions, but I just shoot off at the mouth all the time, but whatever. Okay, so, where I'll speak really bluntly and I do it from a really loving place, and then someone else will take offense to the way I communicated to them, and the meaning that they attach to it is that I'm being disrespectful, that I'm rude, that maybe they shouldn't be in my world whatsoever, when really in my mind I was just being really honest, cutting through the bullshit, so we don't have to like play this like guessing game or whatever. I was like, yay, efficiency and communication, and they're like, whoa, like let's chill out for a second, right? So what is the meaning? Because as the person who was communicating to someone and offended them, I know my intentions. So I would ask them a couple of questions, Lauren, like, okay, okay, so I'm curious about what you're saying, and ask some kind of questions until you reveal the intention. If they're that kind of person that speaks that language, ask them, what was your intention behind communicating that with me? What was, like, what were you trying to accomplish with that? What do you mean by that? Because people throw out things all the time that just word vomit all the goddamn time, and it's so unconscious, right? Not because they're stupid, not because they're bad. And you know what, I'll include myself in this too. Not because I'm stupid, not because I'm bad, but because we can do no other. We just language, and we speak our concerns. So if our concerns are at a certain level, we're going to language our concerns. We literally cannot do any other as human beings. Birds fly, fish swim, humans language. Now the tricky thing, birds all fly, it's pretty objective. Fish all swim, that's pretty objective. Humans language, that is so freaking subjective, that anyone who's had a misunderstanding with a loved one or whatever, and you're like, oh my god, it's so clear in my head, why can't they just get it? The meaning of communication is actually not what you want it to be, it's the result that you get back from them. So if you're saying like, see it my way, they might not have the neurology to actually see it your way. So know that they are speaking from a neurology that's incredibly different than yours. Even if you're talking about a family member, Lauren, like their neurology is so different from yours that they cannot experience the exact same event. They could be sitting next to you watching this exact same live stream and having a completely different experience than what you're experiencing right now. So ask a couple of questions about what they mean by that communication. Try to see that their intention was probably loving. And even if it wasn't loving, it was a cry for love. Okay, no, you can't control how a loved one communicates to you. You can't control how anyone communicates to you. And the way you harness the patience is by checking the meaning that you're attaching to the communication style. So what's the story around their communication style? All right, like, is the story, you're welcome, is the story that like it's disrespectful, that they don't like you, whatever it is, I'm promising you that you can actually change the story so that it means something else, so that you have a completely different experience. Now, if you were able to change that, how would your mindset be different when you go into a conversation with that person? Or knowing that any communication with anybody, no matter like how offensive it is, it's not the truth. Being offended is not the truth. It's a choice every single time. Absolutely. So all these like PC social justice warriors, they're working out some major inner issues. They really are. So that's a whole other thing. So, okay. Changing the meaning around the communication about whatever it means to you. You can choose a different meaning. And then the second thing is, this goes into perception as projection. The second thing is, what is it triggering in you, right? So if you're experiencing it as, say, disrespect, and I'm just guessing here. I don't know what it is to everyone who's watching. I don't know what it is for you, Lord. But let's pretend like you're experiencing it as a disrespectful way to communicate to you. All right. We cannot perceive things in the external world that do not exist within us. So if you experience disrespect from someone else, it's actually an indicator that there's a part of you that doesn't respect yourself, and it hasn't been healed and it hasn't been integrated yet. So all of these triggers from the external world are a gift from absolutely everybody. An exhausting gift, but actually, let me change my story. A beautiful, wonderful, useful gift from everyone else that are showing us where we still have opportunities to heal ourselves, right? To really do the work. And that actually ties into the mindset, like looking at everything like, what if we realized that being offended was a choice? What if we decided to change our story around being rejected for gigs, jobs, partners, whatever it was, to seeing like where we're still rejecting ourselves, where we might be rejecting like our own value or our own talent or our own worthiness of love or money or whatever it is. Would that maybe change your mindset to be a little bit calmer, a little bit more curious, a little bit more creative, right? Okay, so that's what I would do. I would change the meaning around the communication. I would look at what's being triggered in a negative way, and I would start healing that shit. That's what I would do. Okay, another thing besides the media that I really look at in terms of protecting my mindset are the conversations that I'm in. I am really, really careful about the community that I exist in. How do we more effectively choose respectful communication with ourselves to build our own success? Okay, how do we more effectively choose respectful communication with ourselves to build our own success? How do I say this? This is almost like perception is projection, but like in this inner, like the vision that I'm getting right now is like this internal funhouse hall of mirrors where anytime that you're, I don't know why I'm playing with the charger cord, where anytime you're speaking to yourself in a disrespectful manner, it's like, what's going on? Like, that is one of those things that you get to heal. So like, Kath, are you comfortable like sharing maybe more of a specific example so I can really be of service to you? I'll keep going until whether you choose to share something or not. If you share something, I'll hop on it. But we can choose respect for ourselves when we choose a certain mindset around ourselves, that we are people doing the best that we absolutely can with the resources that we have at the time. And that is true for absolutely every single effing human being on this planet. It is the truth. It is absolutely the truth. Again, reject or accept it, but it's my truth, right? So everyone is doing the absolute best that they can with the resources that they have right now. Okay, so maybe some people don't go to live streams where they learn about mindsets. That's okay, they don't have that resource yet. So, but even ourselves, if we start going into a disrespectful like inner monologue. First of all, Kath, you were on the live stream last night, so remember that the disrespect could be ego-based. What do you do if it's ego-based and it's not helping you produce the results that you want to produce? Do you remember? You get out of your sweet little head and you breathe into your heart. We thank our ego for showing us what we need to heal, and we thank our ego for having our ego has the best intentions. Our ego is doing the best that it can with the resources that it has, but it's a little bit reptilian. It doesn't have it's designed to make us survive, not to make us happy, right? Like, it's the heart space that connects us, again, with our unconscious mind, with source, with spirit, whatever the parlance is for you, fill in the blank, whatever it is. Okay, so I need to stop the mindset which keeps me small. I know I have the skills to build the career I need. Keep going with that because it cuts off on my phone screen, Kath. So I need to stop the mindset which keeps me small. Okay, so there might be self-talk around that mindset, which is rooted in certain meanings. So the meanings could be, again, it's the meanings. What does it mean to you to go big? What does it mean to you to actually go after the career that you know will fill you with joy? What does it mean to you to let go of the thoughts, the feelings, and the actions that are keeping you where you're currently at, right? So those are the three things that you can control. First of all, look at the thoughts that are keeping you small, the thoughts and the beliefs that create the result of smallness. Then go back to the exercise from last night. Lauren knows this one. God, angels, universe. Are these thoughts, are these beliefs ultimately true? And you'll find that they're not ultimately true. If your ego is so attached to them that it's lying to you and saying that they are ultimately true, lie back to your ego and say, no, they aren't ultimately true, and continue with this exercise as if something else is true. Surrender yourself to your own higher power. Say, God, angels, universe, I'm willing to do my work. I am willing to be guided. Where would you have me go? Who would you have me be? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And sit with it. Sit with it in your heart. And like I was saying last night, when you first start doing these exercises, when you first start reprogramming, it's going to take a while. Every time I decide to raise to a new level in my life and I get to reprogram something that's keeping me ultimately from the life that I was like born to live, it takes a while to get to that feeling, to get to that heart space and being able to like listen to whatever divinity is guiding me to be able to really be there and reprogram it. So you know you have the skills to build the career you want to have, right? So knowledge, this is a Tony thing, Tony Robbins. Knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is only potential power. So what is holding you back from the potential? This is, Kath, you get to do a lot of journaling, my friend. A lot of journaling to like look at this. So the mindset around that I would offer you, and see if this feels really good, is that you are open to new resources, you're open to new ways of thinking, and so that requires a state of curiosity. So you can have a mindset like, I'm so resourceful because I'm really curious and I'm creative. Two huge states of curiosity, two huge states of resourcefulness right there, right? Like, and I can be curious and open to new ways of seeing things, of experiencing things, going to new resources, being in new conversations. Are you in conversations right now? Going back to like what I was talking about a second ago, are you in conversations right now that are actually like propelling you toward the big goal and toward the career that you want to build? Or are you in conversations that allow you to get away with, and I say this with all love, Kath, this bullshit story of like, I get to be small, I get to like stay unseen, I get to be in the story of like, I can't, this career, there's this block. The mindset is, I'm going to change this story, and it is a reprogramming. So Notice the moods that are happening. Notice the thoughts that happen around the actions that keep you small. Hopefully that helps. Okay. Let me know if you have any other questions like deeper on that, okay? Okay, it's 8:42. Hopefully that helps. Again, does anyone have any other questions? I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay. You're welcome, Kath. So the conversations that you're in, this is so absolutely important because we are linguistic creatures. The language that is around us, we cannot help but actually biologically link onto it. Language ultimately forms our truth. So if we're listening to conversations or television shows or podcasts that program us for beliefs and moods and thoughts that do not ultimately serve our values and our higher purpose, we get to cut those completely out. I think one of the biggest examples for me was before I kind of went on this journey, I loved that satirical newspaper, The Onion. I loved it. But I stopped reading it because, not because it's bad, not because the writers are unskilled, not because I hate humor or something like that, but there was an undercurrent of cynicism that I knew was not going to serve me and the new values that I needed to adopt in order to create the life that I wanted to live. So that, I guess that falls under media as well, but I wanted to use that one specifically for language because that's what it is. It's just like a bunch of written stuff, and it has a certain mood beneath it that I knew wasn't going to produce the emotions. I don't want the emotion of cynicism in my life. I'm on this networking app called Shaper, SHAPR. I highly recommend it to everyone, and I think it's kind of like Tinder and LinkedIn had a baby. I don't know. I was off the market before Tinder was a thing, but from what I can tell, you can swipe left and swipe right, and that's what I hear Tinder is, but it's all for professional purposes. And a couple of weeks ago, I got matched up with a gentleman, and he was asking me what I do. And I was like, I help creatives create the life that they want and understand that they can live with purpose, prosperity, wealth, and that the possibilities are absolutely endless and that we can have it all. And then he wrote back and said, that's completely unrealistic. And I immediately unmatched with him. That is a worldview that is completely valid and totally acceptable for him. I'm not going to invite it into my life. And by the way, if perception is projection and I was able to perceive that amount of negativity in that moment, that's actually, here's my mindset. Instead of being like, oh, look at this poor wretched fool, my mindset in terms of owning my entire universe and all of the results that I create in my life, I looked at that and was like, whoa, what is going on inside of me that I would be able to perceive such a dismal perspective of the world? So then I got to kind of scan myself and see if there was anything that I needed to bring to my coaches or anything like that. So the conversations in the communities that you're in are so important. Like Jerry's on here. We know each other because we both went to a Tony Robbins event, right? And you go to these events, you meet like-minded people who have similar values and that support each other and that are going to be posting positive social media, that when you interact with them, they actually raise your energy level. They're not bringing you down. That's another scan you can do with content that you consume, conversations that you have, relationships that you're in, activities that you do. How do you feel afterwards? Are you in a mood that that produces really good action. So that study group that I go to, A Course in Miracles, the people that are there are people who energize me, who put me in a mood of like compassion and gratitude. Also, gratitude, another good resource. It's the resource of, gratitude is what I feel every time I come in contact with a Tony person. Actually, Lauren's on here. She was at a Tony event too. I met her through someone that I met at the Tony event. Like, it's one of those things, you find your community, you find your tribe. That's such a huge part of the course that I'm offering in October. Is that at first I was gonna like only limit it to a couple of like maybe 10 people or so, and then I was like, no, this is gonna be a community, this is gonna be a tribe where the conversations are had with intention, they're had consciously, people will support each other like during the kind of like mindset slips and everything. Conscious community, consciously choosing your community and your conversations, being super aware of what raises your energy and what brings you down. So those are some of the things that I really look at as external resources to gauge whether like my mindset is up or down. And by the way, the whole thing about like being able to perceive negativity and everything, it's a really powerful tool for self-ownership for sure, but I want you to know that it's not only you. Hi, Jerry. It's not only you. As one of my teachers once put it, she's like, sometimes it's rightful discrimination, and you know that like in your stomach and in your heart and everything too. So what else do you guys have for me? Is there any other questions? We got a couple of minutes left. So that course that I mentioned, it's going to be running from October to mid-November, and it's 6 weeks basically, and it's perfect for people who need to transition from where they are into a full-time creative career. I'm going to be going kind of step by step from the inside out, like going through like a huge clearing process, really getting you in touch with your goals, clarifying your future, and getting you there from the inside out. Because my belief is like with Kath here, you were so generous to share with us that you know everything that you need to do in order to have your creative career. But like, again, knowledge is only potential power. There's something in your mind, there's a mindset block, an internal block, a belief block that is preventing you from taking probably really practical steps, right? So I've designed this course because, Kath, you're not alone. There's actually a huge need for it, and not everyone is a really good fit for my one-on-one program. So I decided this year to offer this course to people actually like just like you, who are ready to do the work, who want to shift internally, learn all the tools, and at the same time be a part of a community that's really going to lift them up and carry them through, right? And then at the end of it, I'll give you some of my knowledge, some of my business knowledge from over 10 years of being in business, basically, in one capacity or another. My background is in marketing. I've worked with a bunch of entrepreneurs, and now I've been coaching for a year and a half. So I will post that link in here. Right now there's an early bird special where you can save $300, and that is going on until this Sunday, so you can save $300. I already have some amazing people in that community who are going to sign up, and again, it's all about community. I'm saying the more the merrier. If it's not for you, but it is, or whatever, if it's not for you, please, please, please let someone else know, because someone else might be really ready for something like this. And the reason that I do what I do is because I know that creatives are visionaries, and that they can take in external stimuli and reflect it back to the world in a way that can help people who are scared, who are sad, reflect it back to them in a way that helps them make sense of all of this external chaos, right? So that's what I do. And because not everyone is a good one-on-one fit for me, I was like, let's just blow this up. And like create a community. Let me help people with the fundamentals of healing the internal wounds, of letting go of the stories of the past. By the way, okay, I'm gonna talk about this. Letting go of the stories of the past, that's a huge part of the mindset. Just like our moods are a decision, the decision to let the past affect our future or our present in any way is a decision that may or may not serve us, right? So that's going to be a big part of the program, is letting go, rewiring our brains, and then getting real about what we are capable of on what's on the other side, and then just doing the business part of it. By that time it's going to be super duper easy. So yeah, it's that's the good stuff. Here's how to know if it might be a good fit for you. First of all, if these live streams felt good, if you got value from these live streams, tomorrow night is more about the business. I'm going to be talking about the biggest mistake I see in networking tomorrow night. Anyway, if you got any value from these live streams, if you enjoyed it, if you're really picking up what I'm putting down, so imagine these live streams, but 6 weeks of live classes for an hour and a half, going in depth to these subjects, and taking live Q&A coaching so that you can receive on the spot support as you're expanding and bursting through your self-imposed barriers, because trust me, some shit is going to come up as we clear things, right? Like, it's not just a nice, clean, tidy process. Shit comes up. It gets messy. So I'm there to support you. You'll have a new community of people supporting you. It's going to be amazing. You're going to get a lot of first of all, a workbook that you can rework time and time again. Like, the exercises will be valid for you until the end of time. As you go from level to level to level to level, you're going to get bonuses like discounts on future events. And also, I felt called today to do a membership site, and it's going to be a paid membership, but for anyone who does the Design Your Destiny group course, they're actually going to get a whole year free. So that community is moved into another container of people who are willing to invest in themselves and also keep the elevated conversation going, help you with the mindset. Again, it's the conversations, it's the community. So are there any other questions? I'll put the link to the website. The website gives you all the details, like the modules, the week by week. There's a few testimonials from some people that I've worked with, all of that good stuff. And then the payment buttons are there, and it takes you straight to, it just pops up right there, and you can pay the early bird pricing really easy. So are there any other questions before I wrap this up? Because we are just about at time. Everyone who hopped on, I really, really want to thank you for being here. You're welcome, Jerry. You rock too. Hopefully we meet at another firewalk in the not too distant future. By the way, hope is not a strategy. I just caught myself on one of the most bullshit words. Hope, try, You commit to what you're going to do. Anyway, everyone who's here, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I honor your time and showing up and interacting with me. Time is our most precious, non-renewable resource, so I want you to know how much I value and appreciate you being here. Message me if you have any questions about the program, and I'll put the link into the event page here. So even if the program isn't for you, but you know a bunch of people or anyone that the program would be for, please, please, please share. All right. Sending you so much love. Oh, tomorrow night we're doing business basics. some of the big mistakes that I see. It's going to be back at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, sending you so much love. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.